Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The essence of knowledge given out in this chapter is that you are the self. Self is another word for Atman in Sanskrit, or the same self, the same Atman. When we refer to the totality, we use the word Brahman, or the word that we are all familiar with is God. As Emerson already told us, every human is divinity in disguise, a god playing the fool, as it were. So whether you use the word God or the self in you, the God principle in you, or Atman or Brahman, these are all synonyms. They mean the same thing. And all masters, all great thinkers, sages, have always brought this message to humanity, that you are not what you believe yourself to be today. Each one has an understanding. I am this person. And you are so sure this is who you are. But the truth remains, you are not what you understand yourself to be today. You are something beyond your understanding. And what is that something? That is your essential nature. That is your true identity. You know, we've been talking about the human personality. You all understand that you have a personality, and anybody's personality is constituted of, first of all, your physical body, which is your outer personality. This is not the real you. Your body serves as a vehicle, taking you from place to place. Now, it doesn't matter what sort of body you have, tall or short, fair or dark, what difference does it make? What is inside matters. And what is that which is inside you? It is your own inner personality. And your inner personality, we've already seen, I'm only revising. Your inner personality is constituted of manas and buddhi, mind and intellect. And what is this manas and buddhi? It is the way you feel, which is your mind, and the way you think, which is your intellect, buddhi. Now together, this is the personality you are aware of. That you have a body, your outer personality, that you have a mind and intellect, which is your inner personality. But the question must arise in your mind. What is my real personality? This is my outer and inner personalities. But is there something which is real? When we say real, the definition of reality is that which persists, which can never die, which will always remain. It is the same in the past, it is same now, and will continue to be the same in the future. That alone fits the definition of reality. So reality can never change. If it changes, it's not the truth. The truth can never die. Now you got to ask yourself, what is it in my personality that is constant, that never dies, that will never change? You got to ask yourself that question. Now, what do you know of yourself today? That you have a physical body, mind, and intellect. Take a look at your own personality, what you know of yourself. We did start saying, you do not know who you essentially are. You believe you know yourself, which you do not. That's what we're trying to understand. And that's the sum and substance of this chapter. In fact, any scripture is trying to tell us that. You are the truth. You are the reality. You are not what you believe yourself to be today. So what is it that you believe yourself to be today? I am this person, this height, this weight, this personality. And I know it when I look in the mirror. That's me. First identity you have is your physical body. And then you would definitely say, it's not just the body, I understand. It's something within me, which is my feelings, my thinking. This is as far as anybody can go. Nobody is able to go beyond that. Now that's what we have to examine. And you believe, this is me. This is the truth about me. Take a look at your own body. Does it fit the definition of truth? We did say the definition of truth is that which, what is the truth? Persists. It's constant, will never change. If it changes, how can it be the truth? Right? Now, if you look at your body, what was your body 10 years ago, 15 years ago? What is your body today? It has changed. And what will be your body 10 years from now, 15 years from now? It will change. It can never remain the same. Therefore, you conclude the body does not stand the test of truth. Why? Simply because it is subject to change. Then you take your mind. No, all right. My body may not be the truth. What about my feelings? What about your feelings? What were your feelings 10 years ago? What are your feelings today? What will be your feelings 10 years hence? Subject to change. Therefore, it fails the test of truth, the reality. Then you come to the intellect, your thinking. What was your thinking in the past? What is it now? What will it be in the future? Subject to change. It is changing. So every aspect of your personality is subject to change. Therefore, all that you know of yourself today is not the truth about yourself. And yet we carry on. Like we said yesterday, why we carry on is because we are enjoying the bliss of ignorance. That's why. Otherwise, you will not be able to sit so peacefully. You will be concerned. Oh my God, what do I have to know about myself that I do not know? And subjects like this ignite that spark in you to search and find out the truth of your own personality. See, some of you may say, look, I appreciate your analogy, but I think I'll be all right. I don't think I need this. It's okay to come and listen once in a while or read a book. But I don't think I will be disturbed if I don't know who I am. Please understand one thing. Everybody is looking for something, we don't know what. We're searching for something. Everybody's in that search. Everybody's looking, and we don't know what we're looking for. The only nearest understanding is we all want peace, we all want happiness, we all want to be cheerful, joyful. That we all agree. Nobody wants to be unhappy. Everybody wants to be happy, right? That is something we accept. But what is this happiness that we are seeking? And where are you finding it? See, the Ramola Anderson, there's another thought which you should examine. See, we are trying to do so many things in life in this hope of finding happiness. Here you are, as an American journalist. People spend a lifetime searching for happiness, looking for peace. They chase idle dreams, addictions, religions, even other people, hoping to fill the emptiness that plagues them. The irony is, the only place they needed to search was within. Now you try to fit in whatever your search is. All sorts of things we are trying to do in this world in the hope of finding happiness. That's the nearest we can get to. And this is a universal search. No matter who you are, man or woman, young or old, you could be an Indian or an American or a Chinese or an African. You could follow any religion, you could any caste or creed, religion, race. It doesn't matter. This is a universal search. Every human being. And we don't know where to find what we are looking for. Here is a subject that gives you a direction. Now you've done many things in life and you're still continuing to do, no matter what we say, no matter what the Shastras say, you will continue. But give this a chance. Go about it systematically. You will perhaps find what you are looking for. So that is the appeal here. It is your life. It is your time. It is your effort. Try and put it in the right direction. Now, I'm mentioning this because it seems to be a long-drawn explanation. It's important because of the situation. Today, if you want medical advice, you don't know medicine, so you need medical advice. You don't even know the doctor personally, but you go to a doctor because you know he is qualified. He has gone through a systematic study. He has gone through a course of study and he's qualified to be a doctor. So you entrust yourself to a person who has gone through a systematic study. You want legal advice. You don't know how to go about a certain issue. You go to a qualified lawyer because you know he has gone through a systematic study of law. You're able to sign up with him. You trust him because of his knowledge of law. You want to put up a building. You don't know how to put it up. You have thoughts in your mind, but you have to surrender those thoughts to a person who's qualified to put up that building. You go to an engineer. First you go to an architect, then you go to an engineer. Each stage you go to a qualified person. Therefore, you will be able to achieve your goal. But when it comes to spiritual education, there is no such systematic study. In our country, we had a systematic study. We've lost it. And that is why there has been an attempt. You've seen the presentation. There is a serious attempt to bring back that system in the modern context. Because in the olden times, a little child by the age of 8 was sent to a Gurukula to learn under a master. And that child, till he became a young adult, continued to live with the Guru. There is no such system here today. It's not possible. It's not practical. So in the modern context, what best can be done to go through a systematic study is what has been attempted at the Vedanta Academy. Now, I know most of you don't qualify. I'm only giving you the importance of method. Otherwise, you go and pick up a book. I want to read the Bhagavad Gita. So what do? Go to the shop, a book shop, and pick up. What do you pick up? You pick up a jacket, the most attractive jacket. and very fine paper and very good print. That's all you understand. What do you know what has gone into the book? Nobody understands. So you pick up without even knowing what you're going to read. It is very important to go through a systematic study. And then you understand this path to the truth and find your way to understanding who you essentially are. So first of all, it flouts the very definition of truth, your whole personality, body, mind, and intellect. This is method, this is system. So you must come to terms with the fact that I don't know who I am. That's your starting point. If the body, mind, and intellect that you claim to be yourself fails the test of truth, as we have just said, then the question is, who are you? Who am I? Who is this individual? It must strike you. See, as a child, you would say, I am a child. If somebody had asked you when you were young, you'd say, I'm a child. Much later, you would say, I'm a youth. Still later, I'm an adult. In the future, you will say, I'm an old person. The child is not the youth, is not the adult, is not the old person, in the sense the body, mind, intellect have all changed. But what is interesting is, I am has remained constant. I am a child. I am a youth. I am an adult. I am the old person. I am hasn't changed, hasn't altered. That is continuous. That persists. But the rest changes. But what are we doing? We are holding on to the rest, completely forgetting I am. The same is the truth with anything in the world. You see a tree outside. The tree is. It exists. You cut the tree down. The tree is gone. But the trunk is. It exists. You convert the trunk into planks. The trunk is gone. The plank is. It exists. You change the plank, make it a table. The plank is gone. Table is. Then you say, all right, I'll burn the table. Yes, the table is gone. Ash is. That isness can never die. That amness can never die. And that isness, that amness is the same in one and all. It's the same everywhere. The story goes, then when Moses went up to the mount and received the 10 commandments, you've heard of the famous 10 commandments that Moses received when he went to the mount. And he was to pass it on to the people as the very words of God, because that's where he received it. So Moses asked the voice of God. Now please don't go to any mountain and wait for the voice of God. You'll only hear your own voice. It is all symbolic. We're not getting into it. But all these stories have a symbolism. In fact, the entire, even the Hindu faith, is all symbolic. Now, why does Ganesha have an elephant head? Why not a giraffe's head? It should strike some of us. Nahi, Bhagwan, that's why he's God. But who put it there? How did it happen? No questions asked. Everything is accepted. That's why there's a whole book on the symbolism of Hindu gods and rituals. It's all symbolic. So coming back, it's symbolic. So when Moses received the 10 commandments, he asked of the voice of God, I shall give this message to the people, but who should I say gave me these commandments? And the voice answered, tell them, I am that I am. Tell them, I am that I am. That amness, that is the truth. Forget anything else. That is constant, that will never die. In the Vedas, you've all heard of the Vedas, there are what we call aphorisms, the famous statements given out in the Vedas. The Vedas say, Tat Tvam Asi. You art that. They don't explain. What do you mean that? That truth, that amness, that isness, that is your real personality. In the Bhagavad Gita, I'm sure many of you are aware, but I'm repeating for the benefit of those who have not heard this before. What is interesting is the first word of the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, does anybody know? What is the first word in the Bhagavad Gita? Dharma. Dharma is the first word, right? The last word, the concluding word in the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita ends with Mama. So it seems as if the whole philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita is conveyed between these two words, Dharma, Mama. So what is the meaning of Dharma, Mama? It means my Dharma. Mama is mine. Dharma. What is the message here? Dharma has several meanings. But in the context, it means that which makes a thing what it is, without which a thing is not what it is. I know you're confused. We'll make it easy. See, it's quite simple. Dharma is that which makes a thing what it is, without which a thing is not what it is. Example, what will you say is the dharma of sugar? What is its essential nature? Sugar. Sweetness. So now you can say, sweetness makes sugar what it is. Without sweetness, sugar is not what it is. Take away sweetness, there's no sugar. Similarly, heat makes fire what it is. Take away heat, fire is not what it is. In other words, you can never have a sample of bitter sugar. You can never have a sample of cold fire. Why? Because that is its essential nature. Dharma. In that sense, what is your dharma? What is your essential nature without which you are not what you are? Nobody has a clue. This is a subject that introduces yourself to yourself. Who are you? In a sense, not what you know about yourself. You know a lot about yourself, about and about, but you don't know who you essentially are. Omar Khayyam says, we talked about and about. I came out of the same door I went in. You speak so much, so many things, but you still don't know who you essentially are. So here is a serious attempt we are making. I don't know how many of you realize that this is a great opportunity you've got to examine, to find out who you are. What is your essential nature? And this portion that we are studying is talking about that perfect state of a human being. When you reach that state, you have found your original nature. So your mission in life, besides doing whatever you're doing, everybody is doing so many things in life. I've already cautioned you, I'm repeating, whatever you do in life, none of it you take. Nothing except your knowledge or your ignorance. Whatever you choose to pursue this time that you have called life. So you will do well if you spend a little time trying to find out the truth about yourself. Who are you? Apart from whatever else you're doing. So here in this portion, he talks about that perfect state that you are heir to. You are a human being. You ought to know what your capacity is. And if you find out, first of all, theoretically find out what is that state, and the beauty of this subject is it shows you the way, it paves the way for you to discover your essential nature. So that is how we started with Arjuna's question yesterday. And he asked that question of Krishna, what is this? What is the perfect person you're talking about? Sthita prajnaha. Who is this person of steady wisdom? How would you describe him? How does he sit? How does he conduct himself? What's happening within him? Please tell me all about this perfect person. That was Arjuna's question. And Krishna was answering him one by one. First of all, he said, look, there are two conditions. As far as his nature is concerned, there are two conditions. It must be fulfilled. One is a person who has cast off all desires from the mind. This is just the opposite of our state. We are full of desires all the time. We're not criticizing. We're only saying this is where I stand today. Full of desires. And what are you doing in your lifetime? Accumulating more and more desires. I did tell you, this is the problem with human life. There's no harm fulfilling your desires. But you don't realize that the moment you fulfill your desires, you got more desires to fulfill. You know, it happens. A lady goes to a sari shop. And she goes there because she's seen an advertisement for a particular sari. She says, I must get the sari. So she convinces her husband and takes the money, goes to the shop. When she goes to the shop, the salesman is ready there to serve her. And he says, yes, madam. He says, you know that you people have advertised for that particular sari, you have it? He will pretend to be dumb. See, that's a good salesman. So what he will do is, he'll bring out some sari. He said, no, not this one. The other one, you know, the one that you people, every day it comes in the paper. Why am I asking you? You should know. You're a very bad salesman. She already gets angry with the fellow because he shows the wrong sari. You know, 1 minute, madam, maybe this, maybe that. He shows her 10 saris. It's not the sari she wanted. She's so fed up. She says, I'm going to report you to your manager. You fellows advertise every day. I don't know why you do it, and you don't even have stock of the sari that you have advertised. Waste of time. I'll go to some other shop. And she's about to leave. And they said, 1 minute, madam, is this the sari you're talking about? Exactly what she wanted. She said, yes, this is what I wanted. Why did you waste so much time of mine? This is exactly what I asked for. I'm sorry, madam, I didn't realize this is the one. And he packs up the whole thing and gives it to her. You know what he has done? She came with one desire. And as she's paying the money, she says, the other sari seems to be better than this one that I got. So now she's already planning, next occasion I must get that sari. She came with one sari, a desire for one sari. She's going back with 10 more desires. Because that salesman has to ensure that she comes back to the shop. So he makes sure she develops desires, more desires for more saris. This is the problem with every desire we have. You believe you have gone to satisfy one desire. I just got a few desires, simple life. Most complicated life. You don't understand that. How much is gurgling in you as you move into the world? You don't realize you're picking up more and more desires. This is what Adi Shankaracharya tells us in the Bhaja Govindam. He says, even when you reach a grand old age, you have not fulfilled your desires. See, it's not as if, as you grow older, you're fully satisfied, very peaceful. Why? I fulfilled everything. The older you grow, the more agitated you become. That is why old age is nothing but worry. Worry, anxiety. Worry, anxiety. Why? Because you don't know how to fulfill your desires. At least when you're young, somehow you'll fight your way and somehow fulfill your desires. But as you get older, you're not able to fulfill, you're more frustrated, more worried, more anxious. So at no point of time are you free. Therefore, he says, the first condition is the mind is free of desires. Now the question will arise in your mind, how do I do it? The 3 disciplines. We've already mentioned yesterday, I showed you the diagram. With your physical body, perform selfless actions, karma yoga. You are acting all the time. From the time you wake up till you sleep, from birth to death, you're performing actions continuously. But the question is, what sort of actions are you performing? It could be selfish, self-centered, I, me, myself. Or you could care for others. What about my society? What about my community? What about my country? What about the world? You are able to work for a higher purpose, higher ideal that is unselfish. But the highest quality of action you can start straight away, provided you're prepared to do it, is selfless, dedicated actions. Actions that are performed with an attitude of service and sacrifice. And if you think it's difficult, take your lessons from nature. I told you yesterday, the sun rises every morning and sets every evening. It doesn't look for your acknowledgement. You will want an acknowledgement from your own children. I have done so much for you. You should be grateful to me. You expect that. Tremendous expectation. And if they don't show the gratitude, you're very unhappy with your own children. So constant expectations is not selfless work. Then you may say, what should be our attitude? You are a parent. Just do what you ought to do without expectation. That will convert an ordinary action into selfless action. Karma yoga. So it's not all that simple. And yet, if you understand it, your life becomes simple. Selfless actions. As far as bhakti is concerned, it's not the number of temples, churches, mosques that you go to, how many prayers you offer to the God, to Lord. It's not that. And this is best explained in a simple poem. It's there in a book of poems. I believe it's available there. If anybody's interested, you can pick it up. The poem is Abu Ben Adam. May his tribe increase. Awoke one night from a deep dream of peace and saw within the moonlight in his room an angel writing in a book of gold. Abu asked the angel, "What writest thou?" The angel replied, "The names of those who love the Lord." Abu asked the angel, "Is my name one?" The angel looked up, because Abu Ben Adam, looked up, first page, and said, "Nay, not so." Abu spoke more low, but surely still. He said, "Pray, write me down as one who loves his fellow men." The angel wrote and disappeared, and came back the next night with a great awakening light and read out the names of those whom the love of Lord had blessed. And lo, Ben Adam's name led all the rest. I don't know if you understood. Abu Ben Adam, he saw an angel in his dream, writing in a book of gold, the names of those who love God. So those who go to temples, church, mosque, you love God, do all the rituals, prayers, everything you do. Their names were written by the angel. He was going and reporting to God. So Abu asked, "Is my name one?" The angel said, "No, because he's never gone to a temple, church or mosque, never done anything. He just did his duties. That's all he did. And he loved one and all." So he says, "Pray, right? I don't know if I love God, but I do love one and all my fellow men. I have no hatred for anyone. That's all I know." So the angel wrote and disappeared. The next night it came and read out the names of those God loved. And that's where his name led all the rest. This is bhakti. You don't have to worry about anything about bhakti except do not hate anybody or anything. If you believe God created everything, how can you hate anything? Then you hate God. Whoever you think is God. So you ought not to have hatred. In fact, any negative feeling, hatred, jealousy, envy, greed, passion, all these take you away from the so-called love for God. That is bhakti. And jnana, knowledge, is not your scholarship, how many books you have read, how much you can talk on the Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, or scriptures. It's not your scholarship. It's not your proficiency. You can charm people with your understanding of the truths. But if you see differences, I am big, you are small. I am right, you are wrong. That sort of difference, and not understand there is one unifying factor that is binding all of us together. To be able to see unity in diversity. There is diversity. There is the right, there is the wrong, there is the good, there is the bad. All that is happening in the world. But in and through all these differences, there is one truth, one reality. If you can see that, if you can understand that, you've got jnana, you've got knowledge. But if you have all the words to speak and not this understanding, you are not following the path of knowledge. So these three disciplines, if you can take up, it is the path that will lead you to the truth. Anybody can do it, provided you take up the disciplines. And that will help you offload your desires, the first condition. Now, I'm giving you a sample. You may wonder why I've talked so much about this one thought. Just to let you know that this is the depth of the Bhagavad Gita. We're talking about one concept. Prajahati. Yada kaman sarvan manogatan. Just one thought. One who has cast off all desires from the mind. To be able to understand that, you need this much of explanation. That is why we have a 3-year course. Here we are spending 5 evenings. That's all, to study one chapter. That too part of a chapter. I'm not frightening you, I'm only saying it's not that easy. You can't just read the Gita and understand. And that is why I've recommended the 4 books. Because that will help you develop the knowledge systematically. Like we talked of the lawyer, the doctor, and the engineer. They develop the knowledge. There is no such system that is available. So fortunately for us, the books are written in a systematic way, but you will have to take it up in that order. So the fall of the human intellect, followed by the holocaust of attachment, followed by the governing business and relationships, because you are active in this world. You need that. And then you get on to the Vedanta treaties, the eternities. If you follow, this is the order. If you follow this, anyone can get hold of this knowledge and find your way to the truth, the way you choose to do it. You have the freedom to find your own path, but it must be in an orderly manner, in a systematic manner. So that fulfilled, he says, then you will be able to find that happiness which you're searching within yourself. That is the condition. And then he says, which we concluded yesterday, whose mind is not agitated by sorrow or excited by joy, who is free from desire, fear, and anger. I did say, I'll take it up. Desire, when you talk of desire, it has several modifications, like fear and anger. There is jealousy, there's envy, there's arrogance, all sorts of negative feelings come from this base this root desire. So when you follow these disciplines, you are not only free from desire, you are free from the modifications of desire. Anything negative, you'll be free from. Mind is not agitated by sorrow, nor is it excited, meaning you're not affected, and you are free from all the negative effects of desire. Such a person is a sage of steady wisdom. And we continue.
Yes sarvatranabhisnehah tat prapya shubhashubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratisthita.
He who is everywhere without attachment, who having met good and evil, neither rejoices nor hates, his wisdom is established. Now please remember, Krishna is answering Arjuna's question. Who is this perfect human? How does he function in the world? Now, he is answering the question, Kim Vrajeta? How does he meet the world? How does he contact? What is his behavior? So, again, an interesting word that is used here. He says, Yaha. Krishna uses the word Yaha. Yaha means whoever he be, he who does this. So you're not asked, who are you? Are you man or woman? Are you young or old? Are you intelligent or unintelligent? No questions asked. Are you following the scripture or not following the scripture? There are no questions asked. If you follow this, this is what will happen. Therefore, we say it is a universal message. So you got to extract the universal message and apply it in your own life. So he says, he who is sarvatra. So the word sarvatra here means he's an active person. When you say everywhere, the belief is when you take up Bhagavad Gita, you become disinterested in everything. You lose interest. Why this? Why that? I don't want this. I don't want that. It is a mental withdrawal. It is not physically withdrawing. You are in the midst of everything. You are everywhere. Meaning you're a very dynamic person. You're very active. You are fulfilling your duties and obligations in life. Sarvatra. We are also doing that. From morning till night, we are busy doing so much. So what is the difference then? Here is a person, he says, anabhisnehaha. He does it without attachment. When you are attached, you suffer. When you are detached, you enjoy. This is a fact of life. You don't understand how it works. You know, you go and watch a movie. The fellow there is falling and hurting himself and all sorts of actions are happening and you are thoroughly enjoying that. He's risking his life, jumping off a cliff, driving the car so fast and achieving. Now, you enjoy that because you are not in that risk at all. You are sitting outside of the whole show and watching the tamasha. So as long as the problem is not yours, then that is enjoyable. What is the secret of, what is that? Magazines, full of gossip. What did that person do? Who did he go out with? Then what happened to his family? Very interesting. That's why they call it juicy gossip. Very juicy. Because it's so entertaining to know the downfall of that other person. And I knew this fellow was going high and high and high. One day he's going to crash. I knew that. And it is there. It is everywhere, in every paper, every magazine. How much you enjoy that. And how much you will discuss it with others. If the loss is yours, you will not talk about it. You don't want anybody to ask you. You can't tolerate it. But if it is somebody else's loss, you enjoy it. Why? Because you have nothing to do with it. You are apart from it. So the concept is you are detached. Therefore, you are able to take a loss without any problems. But the moment you connect, you're connected, you can't take it. You're affected. So he says, take that principle and live in your life. The principle is to be detached. Now, how not to be detached is a question for which you need higher values of life. It's like climbing a ladder. See, when you climb a ladder, you put your foot on the higher rung of the ladder. The moment you put your foot on the higher rung, you can release your foot on the lower. Again, you put it on the higher, you release the lower, automatically. But if you don't put your foot on the higher and release, you'll come falling down. This is logic. Detachment is nothing but putting your foot on the higher rung of the ladder. Pick up higher values. That is what we are doing in these sessions. We are learning something noble, something permanent, a truths of life. We are learning that. It is higher values of life. Once you get established in higher values of life, automatically you are free from the lower. This is the way you gain detachment. In fact, you can't detach yourself from anything. It's like pulling the toys from the child. You can't do that. But if the child gets a better toy, if the child gets something higher, it will give away the lower one. It doesn't care. Because it's got something higher. How did you give up the toys? How did you come to the state as an adult where you don't care for the toys? You've got another set of toys. By virtue of the fact you've got different toys, the lower toys are dropped off automatically. That is detachment. So you can do it now by picking up higher values. Anabhisneha. And then, who having met good or evil, neither rejoices nor hates. He is unaffected by what happens to anything in his life. Just as you are unaffected by what happens to the toys that are lying in your home. You don't care. You don't even know if it exists, but it's there. The children are concerned. You are not. You have risen to some other height by virtue of which you have no value for the lower. So the good or evil, you don't rejoice or hate. Such a person is established in wisdom.
Yada samharate chayam kurmongani vasarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita.
When, like a tortoise drawing its limbs on all sides, he withdraws his senses from the sense objects, then his wisdom is well established. See, again that repetition is there. Wisdom is well established. Wisdom is well established. I've already told you this. What you can achieve in these few days, what you can achieve by reading books, by attending other lectures, or whatever else you do externally. If you gather anything from the world outside, you can become intelligent. You can gain knowledge. Yes, but you may not be established in wisdom. See, knowledge and wisdom are two different things. With due respects, you could have a doctor, for example, a doctor who is well versed in medicine. He knows what is good for health. He knows what is bad for health. He's advising people. And so many people are benefited because of his knowledge. But it could be that he himself could be a victim of some weakness. He could be a chain smoker. He could be an alcoholic. Who? A doctor. Then you wonder, how can he be so? When he has all the knowledge of what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad for one's health, how is he a victim? Because he has knowledge, not wisdom. When you have knowledge, you can help others. It's all theory, theoretical knowledge. When you have wisdom, you live it yourself. And that will never leave you. You're established. Nobody can shake you because you're living that knowledge. So what we have to achieve here is not just study these books that we have recommended, but you have to live it, ever so little, but live it. Slowly you will develop that wisdom. And once you have wisdom, there's no going back. You will never be troubled by anything in this world. Now let's go back. If you are troubled, if you have agitations, if something annoys you, if something irritates you, you are justified. You have a justification. You know why I'm upset? Because of this reason. Anybody will be upset. You justify it. Little do you realize that any form of agitation means you are not living a life of values. Remember we talked about Christ? Christ was crucified. He was not agitated. He looks up to the heavens and says, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. These people don't understand. They're children. See, if a child comes and shouts at you and gets angry with you, I don't want to talk to you, a little child says, what will you say? How cute. How sweetly she's saying that, huh? No, you won't turn around and say, what do you mean? You won't talk to me. You know who you're talking to? If you speak in that manner, there's something wrong with you. It's lovable. When you see a child doing that, you understand it's a child. But two children will fight with each other. An adult can never fight with a child. It's unequal comparison. Because an adult has risen to a height. Similarly, if you are quarreling and angry and agitated with other people, you are at the same level. You have not risen. And you have not risen because you have no higher values of life. Morris Maeterlinck, he tells us, look, even if you see wickedness, if you have values in life, even if you see the most wicked act, you don't react. You don't get affected. Then how do you look at the most wicked act? He says, happy and blessed hour when wickedness stands forth revealed as goodness bereft of a guide. Even the most wicked act that you see, you look at it as goodness without a guide. Now that doesn't mean you go around saying, you told me this. I kept looking at wicked people and saying, you're good. And they took advantage of me. And today I am where I am thanks to your guidance. I'm finished completely. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has no meaning. Now, don't misunderstand the philosophy. All these suggestions are to keep your mind calm. You can take any course of action that you think is necessary. Like even a mother will correct her own child, would be annoyed with the child and say, I'm not going to give you this. You have not behaved yourself properly. It's a corrective measure. But the mother doesn't do it out of hatred, out of anger, ought not to. A mother does it out of extreme love. A correction, sometimes you have to correct. You don't want to be so harsh, but you have to be. Like Shakespeare says, sometimes you need to be cruel only to be kind. That attitude is of nothing but love, but the action can be corrective. Not out of anger, not out of hatred. You understand? They just need guidance. And to that effect, you guide and quickly get back to where you have that relationship, that pure relationship. So, now he says, in this verse, he says, when like a tortoise, drawing its limbs on all sides, he withdraws his senses from sense objects, then his wisdom is well established. So you need to establish your wisdom with higher values. That is important. And these are ways by which you can establish your wisdom. Each verse, he gives you a pointer. He gives you a suggestion. He gives you a path. This is the way to establish your wisdom. So what is the way here? Behave like a tortoise when you're in the world. It's a beautiful metaphor. Now what happens, what is interesting is, a tortoise has 6 projections. You understand a tortoise, right? It has a hard shell and 6 projections: a head, a tail, and 4 limbs. Now why he compares the tortoise to a human is, we have these 5 aspects to our personality when we contact the world. One is the mind. Mind meaning the mind and intellect, your inner personality, and the 5 sense organs: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. These are the 5 gateways by which the world enters you. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch. These are the 5. There's no other way the world can enter you. So the world is constantly entering you through these gateways in your body. Senses, 5 senses. And inside, the mind is processing it. It's exactly like a factory. You know, in a factory, what happens? You feed raw material, and then there are machinery in the factory that processes the raw material, and then you get the products. So the raw material is fed, and the machinery is processing it. So if you want good products, you must ensure that the raw material and the machinery both are of good quality. If you put excellent raw material, very poor machinery, how can you get products? Or you put very poor raw material, good machinery, what can it process? So we have to ensure, that's all he's saying here. Make sure that what you receive is a good quality. And how do you know? Suppose you receive something which is not of a good quality, immediately come into the protection of your own mind and intellect. Process it properly. Reject it. Don't accept it. If you do that, your contact with the world is safe. You have no problems in contacting the world. Because the question is, how does he act in the world? How does he function in the world? Because you're meeting all sorts of things in the world. The world will offer you whatever it has. Now it's up to you to pick it up or reject, like a tortoise. So the tortoise moves about everywhere. It moves about carefully. But the moment it senses danger, it instantly withdraws its limbs and comes under the shell. Once it's under the shell, inside the shell, nobody can touch it. Nobody can harm it. It is safe, 100% safe. And only when it knows there is no danger, it starts functioning again. This is the nature of a tortoise. And that is the path that is given to us. You can go freely in the world, meet the world. The world is meant for you, but be careful. The moment you sense danger, something which is not of a good quality. You've heard of Socrates, a famous Greek philosopher. He used to follow a system. He says there's this test of 3. So one day, an associate came running to him and said, "Hey, have you heard this? Have you heard this about your student?" So first of all, he said, "What are you going to tell me? Whatever you tell me, is it something good?" He says, "In fact, it's the juicy gossip. So it's not good." All right. You still have 2 more chances. "Do you know if it is the truth?" "I don't know if it's the truth. I just heard it. So I thought I'll pass it on." You say, what you're telling me is not good, something bad about somebody. Then I ask you, is it the truth? You don't even know if it is the truth. Then, all right, still there's a chance. Is it something that is useful, something that I can use? I am not sure if you can use this information. Then please keep it for yourself. Don't burden me with it. You suffer, you pick up all this information, you fill your ears with all these negative things, you will suffer. You will be agitated. You continue. I don't want to do this. Test of 3. See, half the time we waste. We go to parties, we go to friends, doing what? I'm not saying you should not go. We are not at all careful what we are contacting in the world, and then we suffer. Sleepless nights, agitations, worries, anxieties, stress, strain, all sorts of things, not realizing we are not following the principle of the tortoise. If it is useful, listen to it, no harm. If it is good, definitely listen. If it is the truth, you should listen. If it doesn't, if it fails all these tests, why are you wasting your time? As if you have nothing else to do in life. So instead of whiling away your time in unproductive activities, you've got to take stock of what you're doing. Remember, the raw material that is fed in and how you process the machinery, how you process the information. Here is a man who processed the information, rejected it. No, I don't need this. If you lead such a life like a tortoise, he says, he withdraws his senses from sense objects. Anything that suggests indulgence. You know you are diabetic. You know you are overweight. You ought not to eat as much as you eat. Yet, you will wait. There are people who will go to weddings. Why? Because the wife doesn't give him proper food. So I may as well go to the wedding and exhaust myself. That lady is not there to nag me, So they go all out because of frustration. If you are constantly escaping, you are only hurting yourself. You don't understand that. You should have the strength to face whatever you are and what you ought to do, which is best for you. So, the ability to withdraw the senses from sense objects which will harm you. It could be food, it could be people, it could be anything. Any sense object which will take you away from something higher. Instantly, the tortoise withdraws. Instantly, you come under the values that you have. Then your wisdom is well established.
Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate.
The sense objects turn away from an abstinent man, but not the relish. Even his relish turns away on seeing the Supreme. Now, an interesting point he says, now, we are talking about higher values of life. We are talking about discipline. We did say karma, bhakti, jnana. Now, this is quite different from the life that normal people lead, and that is fulfilling desires. So you got the resources, you got desires, so go ahead and fulfill them. Who prevents you? Who can prevent you? You just do what you want to do. See, as children, you don't have the freedom. Even if you want to buy something, you have to ask your parents, can I buy it? And the parents will discuss amongst each other. I don't know, maybe this month, maybe next month. Have you done your exams well? All sorts of restrictions before you can buy something. Anything you want. You want to go to a friend's house, you have to check. You want any activity you want to do, you're answerable to somebody. Right? Now you have grown up, you're an adult. You are the breadwinner of your family. You got a lot of wealth. You've got access to so many things. So you have the freedom to do what you want. Who can stop you? Who are you answerable to? This is what happens. When you have freedom, you don't know how to use it. We're not saying only the Bhagavad Gita knows what you should do, or Bhagavad Gita is telling you what you should do. It's not saying that. What the Bhagavad Gita is saying, you got to learn to listen to your own conscience. Everybody has a conscience. Something in you that tells you, hey, look, this is not right. For whom? For me. Don't you regret actions? Is there anybody who has not regretted? Everybody has regrets. I should not have done it. I should not have done it. It's very interesting to analyze regret. See, regret means you don't approve of what you did. See, suppose I come and tell you, look, I don't like what you did. You will turn around and say, that's your problem. You don't like it, it's your problem. I'm okay with it. But if you regret action, it means you do not approve of what you did. Then the question arises, why did you do it? If you don't approve of something that you have done, why did you do it in the first place? The answer is, your intellect was not available to you before acting. Your intellect was available to you after the action. That's why you regret. So, you got to understand that the intellect must be made available to you at all times. Why? Because you are a human. You have a choice. You are answerable to your own conscience. That's the only place you can go to get answers. Am I right? Am I wrong? Should I do this? Should I not do this? That is why Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true, and it must follow as night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Be true to yourself. You don't have to prove yourself to anybody. But if you are true to your own conscience, you are an honest person. Do you approve of what you are doing? Ask yourself. In dead honesty, not to impress somebody else. Then you can sleep well. You will be calm. You will be peaceful because you are going according to your own conscience. And the conscience in your personality, in anybody's personality, is like a mariner's compass. It will always point to the right. Even in a criminal, something tells him this is not right. Just as whether it's a criminal or a person who's overeating, same thing. Something tells you, hey, you've had enough, don't eat one more. Chalo yaar, doesn't matter. And you have it. Then you regret. What happened to you at that time? The desire was so much, it submerges your call. It submerges the conscience. And therefore, you don't listen to your own inner voice. So if you do that, you will find the right path. At all times, listen to that inner voice, that conscience. And you can't cheat, because you may say, look, I listened to my inner conscience and it said, fire that fellow. No, you can't justify. You will fire the fellow, but you cannot sleep. You will be agitated. That's why we say any form of agitation, any little thing or a lot of agitation, it means only one, it's only one, that red light we said, indication. It's an indication that you're gone off the main course. You're not following the path to something higher. That's the indication of any agitation. So now, he says, the sense object. So we started, all right, we've got something good to do now. And we will follow the disciplines, whatever the disciplines are. I'm answerable to myself. So I must commit to becoming a better human. Remember, we talked about it yesterday, I think, that nobody is perfect. So we need to commit ourselves to becoming better humans. Now, if you follow the path of becoming a better human, someday you will hit the 100th mark. You will hit perfection. Until then, you got to keep going. So when you start the journey, what will happen is what he's saying. The sense objects turn away from an abstinent man, but not the relish. Even the relish turns away on seeing the Supreme. So when you launch on anything constructive, anything good, what will happen is that which distracted you earlier, that which took you off the path earlier, it could be people, it could be objects, that prevented you from doing the right. Those sense objects will turn away from a person who's striving hard. See, a young boy, he is full of life. He has a lot of friends. He goes for parties. He does so many activities. He's hardly at home. You never see him. And then one day, he's fired with an ideal. I want to become a tennis player. So what must you do? He's got a whole lot of things that he has to do. He has to play the game. He has to train himself. He has to sleep early. He has to wake up early. He can't go here and there. He has to eat the right type of food. All sorts of things he has to do to achieve that goal which he wants to achieve. So the moment he sets the goal, the moment he sets the ideal, what happens? All the friends who used to keep calling him, let's go here, let's go there, there's a new movie, there's this party going on. He says, I want to come, but I can't. Why? I have to wake up tomorrow early. So he keeps saying this. The friends say, hey, let's call the fellow. Other friends will say, don't waste your time. The fellow cannot come. He'll say, I can't come. Why are you wasting time? Let us go. So slowly, the friends that were calling him for all these things, whether they're going to the mall or going to the movie or going for a party, they stop calling him because every time he refuses. So he says, the sense objects turn away from an abstinent man, from a person who is launched on a program of improvement. But this fellow feels, all of them are having fun, I can't go. They told me, they messaged, I'm in a group message. So I got the message, they're all meeting in the mall, but I can't go. He says, the relish for that, the taste for that enjoyment has not gone. Because he's still not grown. He's just started the journey. So he still wants all those sense objects and all those enjoyments, but he has committed himself to something higher. Therefore, he said, I will not take it up. Then he gives a note of encouragement. He says that struggle will be there for a little while, but when you get established in something higher, even the relish goes away. You don't feel you are missing anything. You feel they are missing something. Because you work very hard and you come up, all the others are ordinary. You become an extraordinary person because of hard work. That is when you know that they have missed out. You have not missed out on anything. So for anybody who takes up a disciplined life, initially there's a struggle, and people who earlier supported all your fun and frolic and all your indulgences drop away because you never come. They say it's no point. They turn away, as it were, from you, but you miss them. You miss the enjoyment. But if you're committed, a time will come when that relish, that's what he says, the relish turns away on seeing the Supreme. Now he's talking about the ultimate state of perfection. When you reach a perfect state, you have no relish for anything that this world offers you. All the name, the fame, the money, the position, whatever the world offers you, you say, keep the change. It doesn't interest you, That's sort of it's not out of arrogance. No, some people will say, I don't want it, because they are frustrated, they can't get it. What is there in wealth? Because the fellow's a pauper. Now, that is not a high state. If you have the wealth and not have a value for it. So you must have an appetite to eat and then say no happily. The fellow who says, I don't want to eat, he is anorexic. He can't eat. He is no digestion. That is not an achievement. That is not control. When you have the ability, you have the possessions, and then not have a value, that is a state of control. So he says the relish turns away on seeing the Supreme.
Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha.
O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, the turbulent senses of even a wise man, while striving, indeed, forcibly carries away his mind. Now, this is a very interesting portion that we'll be studying today and tomorrow. In fact, this whole portion gives us a systematic presentation of what is perfection and how to reach there. So it's a fascinating portion. Now he talks about what is actually happening inside a human being. The turbulent senses, the term he is giving for the senses, that is your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. You don't understand. It has so much power. Of even a wise man who is striving. Here is a person who says, let me become a better human. Let me pick up higher values in life. Let me use my life to achieve something. Even such a person, he says, the senses are very powerful. They forcibly carry his mind. So the senses, meaning what you see in the world, what you hear in the world, the gateway through which the world enters, he says, is very powerful. It's attracted to the world. In other words, to put it simply, the moment you wake up in the morning, you want to see good things. You want to hear good things. It's natural. And the more attractive the things are, the more you are drawn to it. Again, this is natural. Nothing wrong. We are saying this is the power of your senses. It will pull you towards the world. There's already a push from within. Your senses are attracted to the world. And what the world does, it makes it attractive for you to come. That is why advertisements, all sorts of advertisements you see, they pay so much. These advertisers, the companies, they pay so much only to catch your attention. Because they know you've got a weakness. We told yesterday, anti-aging cream. Everybody goes and buys it in the hope of not aging, and you age. It's just an attraction. I'm not saying you should not do it, but understand what is going on. The senses are so powerful. You say, I like it, I want it, and then you go actually and buy it. It could be anything. It is so powerful, you are simply drawn to the world. Even the senses of a wise person who is striving on the path. Even for such a person, the senses are very powerful. They forcibly carry the mind. Now, in a text called the Viveka Chudamani, now you may not understand the impact of this verse, so I can only quote that verse, text, the Viveka Chudamani by Adi Shankaracharya. Now, in that, it's a voluminous text, some 500, 800 verses. But there he cites, he gives examples. He says how weakness for one sense organ is enough to destroy a creature. One sense organ. See, there is a moth that is attracted to light. So there's a flame, and the moth is so attracted, it kills itself. Weakness for sight, that's all. A fish, there's a big trade going on. Fish, how are they caught? The fisherman puts the bait. A fish has weakness for the tongue. It goes for the bait, and it is destroyed, killed. A deer is said to have weakness for the ear. The drummers beat the drum and it's attracted and the hunters kill the deer. Similarly, an elephant is said to have weakness for the skin, particularly in the mating season. It runs helter-skelter. It doesn't know what it's doing. And in that confusion, it is caught. And it has to lead a life of slavery for the rest of its life. That is how it's caught. And a bee, it is said, is attracted to the smell of a particular flower and goes deep into the flower, and the flower closes on it, it's destroyed. Now, Shankaracharya gave these examples 7th century because he's looked at nature and gave these examples. We don't need this. Any number of things we can see in the world. You pass a shop, a diamond necklace, what a necklace it is. After that you can't sleep. So you're planning how to get that necklace home. It could be anything. Something imported, you don't have it here. How can I get it to my home? The moment you have the desire, you look for it everywhere and get it to your home somehow, by fair means or foul. It's an attraction. This sort of weakness, you have weakness for one sense organ, it is enough to destroy you, he's saying. That is what he has given. 7th century, he's given this. Now, what is happening with humans today? We have weakness for all 5 sense organs. Now, you calculate our chances for survival. It's something to think about. See, we don't realize there's a weakness. It doesn't mean you should not enjoy. The world is meant for humans to enjoy. Animals can't enjoy, plants can't enjoy, only a human can enjoy. But how to enjoy is the question. What is enjoyment is the question. Just because you have a weakness, you have an impulse, you jump into something only to suffer later. The more indulgent you are, the less you enjoy. This is a law. It's the law of diminishing value. Anything that you contact indiscriminately, over and over again, without any control whatsoever. And control is not external, please. It is internal. Nobody can control anybody. You have to control yourself by yourself. And if you do that, you're leading a disciplined life. If not, you are swayed by the senses. They say the senses are very powerful. Even a weakness for one sense object will destroy you. You open the papers today, what do you see? Scandal after scandal. What are these scandals? Weaknesses. People throw away a career. People throw away their life, their reputation, everything. For what? Weakness. Something more you're given and you succumb to that, and that's it, your life is finished. We sit and read the paper and say, why did this fellow do this? He has so much talent. He threw away a career. For what? Weakness. That's why he's saying the turbulent senses, this weakness to get more and more of even a wise man, a talented person, even a wise person who is striving, who is working very hard, indeed forcibly pulls his mind towards it. And then from tomorrow we'll see what else happens to a person in this world. Thank you.